So can't find my disclaimer. I just redid it, but past performance not indicative to prove results. Be smart. Don't follow my trades, etc., etc. Use your own money, all that kind of stuff. Y'all know things. I just did a new system and I can't find the disclaimer. But anyway, yeah. So this thing right at the top of the hour here, this thing dumped over right when I was getting back on stream here. So yeah, SPY just rolled over under high volume, one of the biggest volume candles of the day, and the biggest move of the day for sure. Definitely algos here kicking off, and this thing just dumped right over into prior supply. Nasdaq has got what 1680 coming up. ES just took out the prior low and going on down as well. 4768. Big pump lower on SPY. Tomorrow could get juicy. It could. That's a nasty sell-off right there. Overall, we have to play to it. Man, I got to move quick on this stuff. What's up, Blazing? How you doing? Intro song is fire. Yeah, buddy. I'm done for the day, but I'll watch. I love a shotgun. Good stuff. So watch this stuff here, though. Microsoft is dumping over. Amazon just really dumped over. It looks like news on Amazon. I don't know what's going on there, but coming back over. Dropping back over. 16704. ES is still coming back off. I just popped into a 4720 to catch this momentum lower. We just took out S2, which was my main level, which is my basis for entry. Nasdaq is still coming off 4766. ES Nasdaq just came back off as well. They have 16680 on down. Now that we are below, because that just took out settlement. Nasdaq just took out settlement. Now that it took out settlement, we have the prior pivot of 681 where we bounced, and we're still dropping on SPY. A lot of volume, a lot of pressure. Just roll your stops down. Good timing on the Bookmap stream. Tell me, no kidding. So we have a lot of liquidity down to 4765 that they since wiped. You see the CVD has gone extremely negative. It went rollover, and they're just creaming the CVD all the way down into negative 7600. And Nasdaq has got this 16710 on. It's crazy. So SPY heavy volume increasing, yeah. A lot of heavy seller volume on SPY. I'm feeling a SPY gap. The SPY gap would be absurd. Definitely be absurd. We are due for a little bit of profit taking after the monstrosity we've had a few days, but man, a gap fill would be beautiful. It absolutely could happen. I'm not saying improbable. I'm saying it's a big way. Big move. Smoke-a-roni. Coming back off. Nasdaq has got a little bit 16750 there. CVD is still green, although a lot less green than it was a couple minutes ago. And ES came all the way back off. Now they have 4760 with a CVD of 5600 right here. Right there. Yeah, there we go. And boom, there we go, boom. So if you're on Discord, you should now be able to see the Bookmap stream right here. So overarching, we are looking for the reaction to yesterday's move. It's been a little bit up and down here and a little bit choppy. We put on a great trade earlier today, and now here, obviously, this is a change of character, and that's a big VPA thing right there, a change of character. When you've got immediate change in volume, immediate change in price action, and the breakage of major levels such as support down into 471. $750 iceberg above on ES. Oh, yeah, the iceberg. Yeah, so I've had a problem getting my icebergs loaded back up. That's why they're still not on there. I spent some time this morning, but I gotta get them loaded back on there. So, yeah, not today, but All right, so we still have this follow-on candle you see here on SPY. And that's what we're looking at right now. So overarching a big waterfall event below support. We are now dealing with that breach of support and coming on down to pre-market support of what, 471.20. NASDAQ is getting pummeled. The S&P is getting pummeled as well. Breaching back off. So in addition to my puts, I'm going to leave those on and come over to my other platform here and trade some NASDAQ shorts. And I'll have exposure on both sides of the coin here once I get things rolling. Yeah, there's no event really. We had some very minor stuff at 11:30, but I think this is just a lot of profit taking. The algo's kicked on, and I mean we had an aggressive amount of buying the past couple of days. Little absurd. Just took out the 67 pivot, definitely. Overall, the volume is very nice. The price action is very nice. We're not getting an immediate sweep, which tells us that this is a true move so far. You know, if we had any major bottom wick that sucked it all the way back up, that's just more of a sweep. And that's when I'd be very cautious to short. But this is a very full and engulfing bearish. We had a lot of volume. So far, it's not bottom wicking. And that's the real sign there. So we took out prior support, so it's change of structure. And now we're probably looking on down to maybe 470.1 here on SPY. Liquidity down to 47.60 on ES. Boom, coming on down. Still making a move. What's the other names doing? Apple just put a new low of the day in, which we know what that means. We know what that means. So right now, we just took out not only the low of the day, but the morning low as well. And if you've been following me, you know I do plot the morning high and low. That's the first hour of the day. And we've been using that as support for a good portion of the day. In fact, we bounced off of it several times. And finally, this time, we break the morning low and put another low in the day in, which is a low probability event. But when it does happen, you have to pay attention to it because that is a character change. And the prior low of the morning was 471.78. We just took that off, went lower. So now probability says that we're going to use that as resistance and trend down into the afternoon. Usually, and the reason why that's a rule is because you don't get this type of action without a significant change in underlying price, which we have here. A huge significant sell event to bring us down into new lows of the day. So any kind of pop here, I'll look for a reverb off of about 471.80, 471.78 here on SPY. I might owe you a penny. I hope it didn't make it over 200. They got dang close, though. Thursday. Yeah, the bond auction was 40 minutes ago. So I don't know if it had a delayed effect like that. I think it was just the algos kicking on top of the hour. That's just what it was. Got caught up in the algos. Tesla 240, 12.15 yesterday was a great play. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. Join any fun? Yeah. Yeah. So I'm jumped into some puts. I'm looking to take a NASDAQ position. Not currently in the NASDAQ yet, just the puts. We have a lot of liquidity being put on the market here. We've got 47.75 up top, 47.60, and another top wick. So overall, we have a doji response after a big red move, which is not the best sign to look for a bounce. I don't really want a doji's a little bit weak. It's overall looking for buyer's response after coming down into demand. So just hanging out. $471.39. Still, the CVD continues to trudge lower here. So you see, when we first came on, it was about 6,700 negative after being about 2,000 green, and they dumped it back over, and it's still driving further and further red. So the aggregate here is still on the sell side. You see that the sellers are still hitting with momentum, as indicated by the bubbles here. So overall, I'm looking for a bit of a grab, and then the red bubbles will come in and test this 47.60. 47.69. Retest a prior low of the day right here, 471. So we took out the pre-market levels, we took out the current days, and of course S2, which was a significant level. Heads up tomorrow, I think we may push even higher, peak 475. I wouldn't think that. You have to realize tomorrow is OPEX. That's my concern. And OPEX right now has a bunch of calls that are deep in the money after this type of rally. And what OPEX does best, because you have to think about the dealer's perspective, not the buyer's perspective. The dealer's perspective is selling positions. They're selling calls. And with the amount of calls that were bought a couple of days ago, you know that they're going to finish. They're going to degrade those things. So tomorrow I'm expecting either red or consolidation to destroy all of those deltas back down. more than likely, I'd probably say more of a consolidation, maybe slightly red, but they're going to do everything they can to take those premiums off the books. That's what OPEX is all about. Unless they do it today. If they do it today, then tomorrow, yeah, definitely. But it all depends on today's close. Currently reading VPA by Anna. Yeah, buddy. Love it. There's a chance this afternoon downward move is a selling of their positions from tomorrow. Yeah, so that pre-OPEX move in today, if they do get a lot of selling pressure to close out today, then that is possible. Then that comes back on the menu tomorrow. But it's going to have to be either today or tomorrow. All right, here's 471.34. We're not really moving, just doji. NASDAQ dump back over here. With limited attention to the charts, what are your thoughts on 4-week DTE put on SPY closed by Thursday? I would hold off until late December, early January to make a play like that, in my opinion. I think we're still going to have some sort of move. Like I said, I don't expect them to make this move up till all-time highs and not at least test it. SPY is still about $6-7 off of all-time highs. So obviously, y'all know my macro thesis, but I just don't see them making this kind of a move, this historical move, up to all-time highs without at least testing it. They just put on the biggest move in 5 weeks in history. Like they're gonna make a run at all-time highs. $471.26 here. I see a wild Friday for once finally. Yeah, definitely. I think we'll be wild for sure. I'm on the section of anomalies. Can you give me a live example of one to better understand? So anomalies for me is based on one side or the other, volume or price, not falling in line with the other. Huge move without volume, huge volume without a move. Any one of those is going to be a big outlier for me, and it's going to be a red flag. I need to pay attention to it. Everything obviously is going to be supported by volume, and if anything outside of the normal, there's a rhyme and a reason for it, and I have to pay attention to it. In addition, the entire daily chart is basically an anomaly from going back to October, which makes this whole move. Like, that's why if you go back and look of this move to the daily, it's incredible, the anomalies that are on this chart. No accumulation, very strong. There's open liquidity left and right all over this chart. So it's been interesting to trade. So right now we have 3 dojis in a row here. Well, 2 dojis and a bottom wick on the 5-minute. Overall, the 15-minute chart has a bit of a bottom wick on 471 here. And there we go. So another move back on 47.66. And SPY is hanging out about what? 471.25 here. NASDAQ took off that upper liquidity. Pretty light book on the NASDAQ here. And I'm just going to give it a few potatoes to do some absorption after this big move. And the next move down hopefully will come shortly. NASDAQ is creeping lower here. One big red to get this flow going. Yeah, right now all we're doing is conducting absorption at the next demand, and when they're about to break it down, it looks like now. SPY is still going lower here. 47.66 on ES down into the 65 down to 60. CVD is still holding about 7,000. So again, when I see a big move like this, if you are looking for the bottom, then you need accumulation and bottom wicks. We don't have that yet. So far we have doji, and then so far this new candle put in a new low. So we're not really seeing much of a strength in buyers just yet. So we're still playing to the short side until I start to see liquidity. I need to start to see that sell side liquidity be transacted for the buyers to step in and shift this market back up if that were to be the case. Need a little panic. It's going to take a lot to get this market to panic, not going to lie. We're still in full-blown mania. Still full-blown euphoria. It's going to take a lot of pressure to get the market to turn into a panic, and probably not until January sometime. Right now, there's still arrogance and no fear, and the buyers are going to hit the buy button on every single red candle, and that's not going to go away until the pressure is applied. I want to see a circuit breaker tripped. So that means the sellers are in control, the buyers can bring it back up with high volume. So far, yes. So at the moment, we see a nice large drawdown into the 471 and 47.66 range. So from a VPA standpoint, if you are looking to go long, I need some bottom wicks and I need some volume to come in to support those buyers. And so far, we haven't gotten any of that yet. It's still plenty of pressure to the downside. It's all about managing that price action there to see how they're going to deal with it. Now, in a big move like this, you do have to be careful because it's very common for the buyers to suck this thing right on back up. Right up back to the top. Because normally what you happen when you have a big move like this is too much happens too fast. You enter right into demand where the auction's transacted, and then boom, all the buyers hit it once and you get pulled back up. Too much too fast. Anna Coling talks about that too. So that's typically why you got to be very careful playing the continuation of these big red or big green moves like this. So that's why we're going on the fourth 5-minute candle, which we're 20 minutes into this move so far, and it's still not bouncing just yet. In fact, we're transacting lower with more top wick. This green candle right here on the 5-minute just top wick back down. So this may actually break. All we're doing is conducting absorption. What you're seeing here is an attempt breach lower bottom wick, attempt breach lower doji, an attempt breach lower, held, and this one came back up and then immediately top wick back over. Now this is all 5-minute stuff here. The longer time frames like the 15-minute will help increasingly on top of that and come down even more. we're gonna wait for this candle to close here. The panic dip buyers could flip it. Well, yeah, I mean it's absolutely possible, yeah, but we have to wait for signs of that. This is how I blew 2 accounts. On the way down, I was stubborn and let it wipe me out, and then I re-entered with 4 minis short and got another account. The market, of course, reversed and got me. Yeah. Once you understand what the market is doing, is that it's right now it's like a hunting dog, like a bloodhound seeking out its prey, and the prey is liquidity. So this market is going to transact down. All the market is, forget about the red and green candle crap on the charts, the visual. The market is simply liquidity, and it's seeking out liquidity now. The market ran up high into premium because it's been blasting for a couple of days now until it runs out of supply. And then once we hit that, well, it runs out of demand. Once it hits that supply, the sellers hit it, transact, right back down. And now we're going to seek out the next level of liquidity down lower, and it won't bounce until we get there. So our job, knowing that, is to figure out where that level of liquidity actually is, where that demand is going to hit. And we do that through the process of VPA, volume price analysis. And the way you find that is through continued and sustained bottom wicks and support, and then eventually the introduction of volume. When you see those two combination together, then you can start going long, closing out shorts, etc., etc. Because right now what it's telling us that we haven't yet found demand. Because if there was a significant demand right here after this type of fall, what would happen? Blip, right on back up. You get the typical major bottom wicks. Holy crap, that thing just came all the way back up that we normally get on these big moves. And that's what we're looking out for. If I start to see a bottom wick and we start to close up here, that's when I'm looking to, all right, well, obviously the move has been made and we're going to bring all this back up and we've hit demand. But as of yet, as of the candles are currently presenting, we haven't yet hit demand yet. So we're going to transact lower until we find it. It's all about managing liquidity. ICT calls it seeks and destroy. Well, there you go. I don't follow ICT, but there you go. There's a break lower, both on NASDAQ and the S&P. You see the big sell pressure coming in, and now we're going to go down and find the next demand into 47.60. Negative 7,200 CVD, and there's the break lower on SPY. My contracts are currently up 50%, and I'm going to continue to hold them until I see the bottom wicks. If I had to guess, SPY will come down and tap 470.69. That'll be the next area where we find demand because there's open liquidity there. There's transacted historical liquidity there that needs to be wiped up. About 470.70 on SPY. If you're looking at ES, I'd probably looking in the ballpark of 47.63 and change, somewhere around that area. NASDAQ is still kind of free-flowing here. Then again, I wouldn't necessarily close out a short just because of that level. I would just, be ready for it. Roll your stops down for a bounce at 470.70 on SPY. I started trading at the top of 2021 bubble. All I know is blood. Yeah, I feel you. Coming back off right there. There goes NASDAQ still going lower here too. SPY is 471. We have about another 30-40 cents till get to my target. Coming on down. Excellent. Imagine every trader held wins like they hold losses. That's the point of bloodthirsty hound market. Well, my goal is to try to get you all to identify when you're in a strong trade, and I think one of the benefits of that is trailing stops. I think not benefits, but tools. The tool is trailing stops to help you hold a winner a lot longer than a loser, and to identify your losses. There is a certain point where you just got to cut your losses and get out, and you need to predefine that. A point at which there's no return. You need to get out. I entered my put when we broke under my morning low. When we broke my morning low and held it under engulfing, I took entry. Partially because I had to do some quick analysis that I wasn't actively in the market when the thing started to roll over. So when we took out the morning lows when I came online and held that. So, and I'm still going to hold it. $47.64. NASDAQ has got 16,665 on it. Looking for a punch lower here. Coming on down. SPY is 470.97. Look for this 70-ish area. Still dropping. There we go. Coming on down. Apple's dropping over here too. Amazon dumped. Microsoft dumped. XLF is 37.60. TLT is 98.34. VIX is 12.40. 16,683 here. Inverse Kramer works again. Could you imagine if this thing did top the market right here after he said that today? Man, what a crazy moment that would be. He'd be forced to retire. He'd have to. With no time decay, it seems I'm a decent trader. It's funny you say that because it is of my opinion. Most traders aren't as bad as they think they are. They're just not giving themselves enough time in a trade. And it's because, one, they're over-positioning themselves, and two, they're trading 0DT options. They're not giving that. They're trading products with too aggressive a theta. I firmly believe that. I don't think your entries are as bad as you think they are. They're just, I mean, some of them, yeah, you're probably taking pretty bad entries, but I think a lot of your problems has to do with those two things. It'd be crazy if they gave back the whole move, dude. That would be absurd. I've seen it before though. Side gig. There's been plenty of FOMCs in 2022 where we had very, very green FOMCs, like yesterday, and the next day they gave every cent of it back. So there is some precedence for it, and this initiation right here has all the looks of doing it. I'm not saying we're going to. I'm just saying if we're going to make a move like that, it's initiated by this exact price action. High volume, heavy engulfing bearish with no bottom wicks, and sustained over the course of several minutes, if not hours. Any thoughts on the Goog 5-minute? Yeah, it's putting on a green. Yeah. A lot of tech put on a little bit of green there, but Apple's getting destroyed. The Russell is also bouncing back up after getting destroyed. So be ready there. SPY is still making its way lower. XLF, the banks are getting destroyed. XLV, the second highest X sector of the day, is getting destroyed. So there's a lot to move down here. And all we're trying to do here, whether you're long or short, is find out where the bottom wicks are. So I'm going to go ahead and scale out a little bit of my puts here. Go ahead and take some profit as we're below support. And then for the rest, shift my stops down. What do I make of the icebergs above? Those are very, very large icebergs. Most likely to come up and transact. It's only a couple of points above. But that's a lot of icebergs coming to the tape. And every time we get big icebergs hit the tape like that, normally we get a pretty big move associated. There's a reason why they hit the tape like that. I closed my call options with a $400 loss, even though it was the same price it took them. Theta is deadly. It is deadly. Theta is the reason why you can be right on your thesis and entry and still lose money on options. That's what makes them so incredibly aggravating to trade. It's intentional in my opinion. I think so too. Yeah, I think Jim Cramer as the public figure is a character. I don't think it's actually him in real life. I think he's a character. The calls he makes are so absurd sometimes. It's pretty phenomenal. I found a 4 to 5 DTE sweet spot for myself. Beautiful. Beautiful. Do you normally have several days on your options contracts or zeros? Normally now, I've been doing a lot of futures trading the past couple of weeks. When I'm doing zeros, though, when I'm doing options, I am sticking to zeros for the time being. And then, of course, throwing in some swings here and there. And every time I do swings, it's going to be multi-week / month. We have 4760 coming off. Almost 10,000 negative CVD. So you see the aggregate still selling. You see yet another green candle is already smashed and top wicked and flipped red. So the sellers are still in the driver's seat here. We're going to drive lower. And I would watch out again for about 470.69 as the first reign of defense here. Nice and easy. That's all we're doing here. Is waiting for any kind of defense. Made up my small loss and then some on positive for the day. I love it, Damien. Yeah, buddy. Great job. Done for the day. There you go. All right, so for the first time, we have an increase in volume with a green candle close. So the first instance of any buyers hitting is on that candle right there. So I need to mute. I'll be back here in about 30 seconds. All right, I'm back. All right, so there's another red right back on. And they're removing the upward liquidity, which is a good sign for short selling here. They've got a little bit at 4760 here, and still the CVD is 8800. Overall, obviously the price action is still not as strong as here. They just kind of initiated the move down, and we're just kind of just transacting in the direction of the momentum at the moment. How do you interpret icebergs when you see them come on the chart, and do you aggregate the data so you only see certain size ones? Yes. So I filter out the small crap. I don't want to see the small stuff. I'm not interested in that. So I want to see the large lot icebergs. And when I start to see them come on and they're precipitous and all over the place, again, I want to see, especially if we're in an environment where we haven't really had any icebergs, and all of a sudden when they start popping on, and they're into the tune of like what that one says, 1400, 900, etc. That's when I really want to look for a direction change in the market. And we're going to start chasing those icebergs. And that's primarily what I follow them for. So we're still hanging out to 470.89 here, just kind of trudging away. Still holding on to the put. And after that, I'm really just looking for an entry on NASDAQ here. So a large block of volume here as well. You see the definitely change in volume here from the rest of the session, right at the top of the hour. It's always nice to do it on the Bookmap stream too when there's a lot of momentum. Typically this hour is pretty slow. Coming on down, retesting the lows. NASDAQ is starting to roll over a bit here too. Amazon has what looks like a bear flag forming after that big move down. VIX is up to 1244 as well. That's another component, is that if they continue to kill the VIX, is that will come off there. The VIX has not been able to put on a green candle since the early December, and even then, there's only been 4 candles in the past 2 months that are green. Today obviously is green, they're up 2%. How can the VIX close? SPY is currently 470.81, pushing a little bit lower here. Overall, I'm looking for one more breach down into the 470.69, 70 area, and after that, everything else is cake. The POC is also down to 469.70, which would be an additional point down. That would be freaking beautiful. So that one currently at 1436, you would assume the market would chase something like that in the short run. Yep. Typically, yes. Can we get to 16,300 by mañana? Oh, man. That's asking a lot of the market. Man can dream. Tendies, baby. Tendies. Looks like the last 5-minute candle was high effort, no result. A firm. Good observation. So there you go. It's in terms of we have a high volume spike there and a very small move that ultimately failed. So that's another sign of weakness. Now again, you want to confirm on higher time frames. Go from the 5 to the 15, and even the 30-minute if you can get it. The 15-minute right now, we have got a top wick green candle that's got a long upper shadow that's about to flip to red, but we've got 5 minutes left on this candle. It is, Tehran. It is. Any trades? Yep, I'm currently in a put, and I'm seeking out an entry on a NASDAQ position. I'm in a 47.20 that's up 54% right now. I like your name, Tehran. My favorite weapons manufacturer is called Tehran Tactical. You're holding 47.15 is nice. $470.86. That's dope. Yeah. They made all the John Wick weapons. Have you ever seen those movies, John Wick? Yeah. They made all those weapons in that movie. $470, another top wick. Again, same thing. Just creeping down on the 15-minute chart. If the sellers continue to show strength, would you swing your position? I'd have to open a new one because these are zeros. But it really depends on how far this goes. You know, I mean, the first thing they got to do is they've got to get these deltas off the books. Their portfolios are heavily positive delta right now with this explosion of these calls, and they got to decay them. But think about, because we've currently been in a pretty positive delta environment, but, again, think about the dealer side of things, going back to the conversation we had, and a move like what happened yesterday. A lot of people say they're short, this was like a short squeeze. I don't think so. I think it's more along the lines of gamma, by the way, new low here. Because when all these dealers, when you're in an insanely heavy call buying environment from the retail side, from the market side, the dealers have to sell those calls. They have to provide the market selling those calls. Well, what happens when they're in a colossal amount of short calls because they've sold those to us and the market starts punching higher like it has been? Well, they have to start buying the underlying to hedge. And it causes this huge windfall where buying induces more buying on the buyer side. So the higher it goes, the more they have to buy. And it creates this massive explosion of upward price action that seemingly never stops because the algorithms are persistently and dynamically hedging back to delta zero, delta neutral. In order to do that, they have to buy. And now the higher it goes, the more they buy. Higher it goes, the more it buy. Buy, higher. Until we get to a certain point where they have to roll those positions off the books because their net positions flip back into negative territory where they no longer have to buy the underlying. And we don't know when that price precisely comes. So when it does come, you start to get these aggressive rejections as they roll those hedges off the books, close out the calls as they decay, and bring the market back down. And that's where the importance of OPEX comes in tomorrow. Tomorrow's OPEX is the highest on record, if I read that correctly. It's the largest OPEX in history, with a whole ton of notional on the books that now has to come off because of the explosion of price action we've had the past month. There's a top wick back down, new low, and the puts are still eating here. NASDAQ is not really coming down as hard as S&P here, although it's still not quite strong. And we have a 15-minute close just occurred, and we have a new 15-minute candle opening now. We've already gotten through S2, which is a significant level, breaching on down to S3. S4 is way on down there. Way on down there. So I'm just kind of hanging on the 15-minute chart here, see how this candle forms. It's been a top wick, nothing but red so far. That candle closed red and this new one opened, it's small greens forming. We have 47.70 up top, 47.60. Liquidity is still favoring the 60 grab. They're putting on a touchdown here. You see them, the rollback on the 70 block. And we're almost at 10,000 CVD. So the aggregates are still favoring the sellers here. XLF is still rolling off the books as well, so not a lot of strength in XLF, which is out monitoring. And from here, honestly, in addition to the VPA stuff we're discussing, my eyes are kind of on market awareness here. The S&P is made up of 10 X's. We know that. XLK, V, Y, P, L, C, etc. If those continue to roll, obviously, then I'm going to expect the S&P to continue to roll as well, within reason. XLK is still plummeting. XLV is dropping. XLF is still on the path down to lows of the day, which is currently coming up on lows of the day. VIX is still climbing into the 1250. So as long as everything kind of correlates with what I'm looking for, I still have confidence in holding my puts here. I'm going to continue to roll them on down. So now it's a balance between liquidity tracking and volume price analysis using Bookmap, and then market awareness. In addition to that, we have to understand that the top of the hour is coming. 2 o'clock is in 13 minutes. Unfortunately, we'll have to sign off the stream by then. But 2 o'clock's coming. And that's usually an influx of volatility as the afternoon session begins. So where does that take us? Another green candle, top wick to move lower, new low of the day right here for the S&P. NASDAQ is also continuing to trickle lower. One more push down and I can start approaching 100%. But I need another candle. This is pretty slow right now. Maybe at the top of the hour. It still amazes me I could put ice in a cup yesterday at lunch and it's still in there today. Yeti cups. It's pretty awesome. Still hanging on to 470. Amazon is reaching back down to lows of the day, breaking that bear flag. Microsoft is not coming off lows of the day as well. Netflix is still going to new low of the day as well. And as you start looking into not only the mega caps selling off, but the other names that are outside of the top 10, they're starting to come off as well. Tackling fuel. That's 470.62. All right, so we just punched through that support of 470.69, but shows strength in sellers here. I'm up 74% on my put and going for 100. New low of the day on NASDAQ and the S&P. NASDAQ is starting to put on 16,650, although they're still maintaining a pretty strong CVD. ES finally took out that 4760 liquidity and now stacking 70 or 4750. There's a punch lower on the S&P. I'm still holding south. So all the VPA here says still lower. Now this is an aggressive move after a couple of minutes of absorption. Right here. See this? This is all absorption. Test, 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 test. Little green. All right, there's not enough buyers here. Test, 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 test. All looking for high volume test. A high volume test or seek and destroy is what some dude said. We're looking for demand, and we haven't found it yet. There's no bottom wicks supported by volume that are maintaining. There's certainly no bottom wicks on the 15-minute chart. All the bottom wicks we are seeing in the green candles are on the 5-minute chart. There's certainly nothing on the 15-minute. Now we're punching lower. There's 99. There's 104% on my puts. It's nice to get 100% on a non-YOLO play. I'm going to go ahead and take out a little bit more profit here as we're reaching into this area. I'm still going to hold about 30-something% of my position remaining. We'll call it a third. 111%, 112%, 114, 26, 131%. All right, cool. Now I want to take some profit. Sweet. Now I'm going to hold the rest on down. Risk is off. Let's see how far these things can go. Next stop, S4. This certainly looks liquidation. It certainly looks like a waterfall event here. We chip the breakers, it's going to go. What a day, what a day. Whew, man. I'm looking forward to having 20 accounts on this Apex, dude. The amount of money I would have made the past 2 days is ridiculous. All I keep doing is multiplying times 20. SPY is still coming off here. There's 150. But overall, we have POC coming up and overall S4. I mean, I'm looking for S4. They've already taken out all the prior major liquidity zones. Coming on down. 617%. Nice, Kevin. Well done. Still coming off. Been holding this position for almost the entire hour. I've been holding this put. Sellers are still in complete control. VPA, you see how calm and collected I am? Do you hear me freaking out? Do you see me stressing? No, because I'm just watching VPA. VPA. I'm letting the bottom wicks do their own thing, and I'm planning my attack here. I'm looking for where this market can potentially bottom wick. Otherwise, I'm staying in. For now, the potential bottom wick was at 479 or 470.69. We blew right on through that after a couple of minutes of consolidation at that level, and now we're just smoking it. 469 and change. I'll possibly look for the in the area of 468.20 is the next area where I'm going to look for a possible bottom wick. Right now, I'm up 210% on my puts, and I'm going to hold. Guess what? Call your wives. We're going to Taco Bell tonight. I'm getting the Mexican pizzas. We're going big. $469.59. Still going. What do you think, Twizzy? What do you think? I'm not going to let you screenshot me today. Man, this thing's coming off hard here. 469.56, 211%. Watching out for S4, which is 468.16. We're already down 4 points. Whew, give me a little breathing room from that $500, huh? Still going. Dropping on down, 469.37. Just wiped out that liquidity coming on down to 47.40 on down to 47.20. Next level of liquidity is 47.27. I'm currently up 230%. VIX is going to 1270. All signs pointed down here. I'm going to get out when you get out. I'm not leaving money on the table. Don't do that. And remember, I've already scaled out. So scale out and then leave some on for risk. I've got a third of my position left on here, and I'm seeing if I can get down to S4. If I can get to S4, we're going to be locking in about 350% here. So that's what I'm really gunning for. If you are in a short on a futures contract, then just roll your stops down. Don't get out of the trade. Don't close it. We've had a very strong seller's momentum pick up here. If you're in a short and you have a good position, don't get it out. Don't let it go. You make that market take it from you. And you do that with trailing stops. So just roll your trailing stops down little by little. Be willing to give back a little bit of your tip-top profit in order to give yourself a chance to get this thing to sell off. And then if it stops you out, so be it. That's the only way to catch a trend. I went to heat up some food and came back to this. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Took my 100% and ran. Only had one put, so I didn't have much option to scale out. Hit it and paused. Taco Bell. There you go. Go get yourself a Mexican pizza. You deserve it. Yeah, buddy, Alex. Yeah, buddy. Just made you money on that one. Is there another chat somewhere? Right now for this chat, there's a YouTube chat for Bookmap. Yeah. There's also a tier 2 chat if you're tier 2, where we talk about the macro levels. Oh, you're good. You're good. 34% portfolio on Microsoft puts. Nice, John. Amazing. I had paper hands today. Manos de papel. That's all right. We have 4 more minutes till we have to wrap up the stream. If you have any questions about anything, let me know. If you'd like to see more of this, come over and hang out in the community if you haven't already. Start of the day down $400 on my prop, and now I'm up $600. Nice, yo, cheerio. Amazing. If I do get a stream retracement, it'll be because the dealers are taking off their deltas. Yes. So a lot of people look at it as profit taking, which is true. I mean, that you do have to take some, there are going to be some people taking profits. But again, I'd rather you think in the big high level terms of what the dealers are doing. And that is they're short calls and they're going to have to roll this position off, so they're going to manipulate the market back down. Not to mention their hedging requirements are no longer valid. They no longer need to buy up anymore because they're at a certain point where they are flipped back down to already neutral or even negative delta. So they no longer need to buy up and you're no longer to get that gamma squeeze. So instead, it flips over to selling off their positions, reducing their closing their hedges, reducing their hedges, rolling their hedges, getting those positions roll off, and that's what you get this type of action. Now, this is not even anything much. I mean, we're only down a couple of points here. It's nice and sustained selling, but we're not even talking about that crazy of a move here. This is just a fraction of what this is just pre-market right here. We haven't even gotten into FOMC's action yet. So from here, it's really, all right, what are they going to do after this? What are they going to do into the power hour and into tomorrow? That's correct, Alex. Yep. And that right there, Alex, is the difference between SR levels and the macro levels. Is that the macro levels have months/years of liquidity built into them. So they're not going to be wiped on the first try. There's always going to be participation at those levels. 10-year yield is below 4%. Look at that. So the 10-year has rejected 5 on October 20th and all the way down on 4%. Crazy. Crazy. Those macros are money. That's why I set my stop at it when we crossed. Oh yeah, they're amazing. XLF bounce off low of the day here. VIX came back off in 470.18. So we touched the POC on the 5-minute too. All right, we got about 10 seconds here, so we're going to have to wrap this up. Again, we're here every Thursday on Bookmap at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central. Every other day, we're in the OM Discord and on the OM YouTube channel doing live trading, live streaming, and talking about basically position management, volume price analysis, liquidity tracking, all the sort of things, all, of course, using Bookmap tools. So come on and hang out with us. It's a great place to be. A little bit different from other internet communities where we don't engage in the normal internet behavior. We have fun, talk about tacos. So I appreciate y'all hanging out. I'll let y'all know what I do in the Discord channel with the rest of this position here, which will probably be exiting soon if this candle holds green. I'll let y'all know. Other than that, I'll see you next Thursday. I'm out. See you.